Urban Therapy with Sun752, and this is your daily go-getterism number 691 for August 24th, 2016. All right, tonight I want to talk to y'all about what's acceptable and what's unacceptable. What's acceptable in your life, what's unacceptable in your life. Of course, there's going to be different things for different people. There is no like blanket copy or like one definition of what's acceptable or unacceptable in anybody's lives. But for the most part, you know where to draw the line, whether it's an invisible line or a definite line that when people cross it, then problems occur. All right, for example, everybody who has a job, everybody who goes to work knows that there are rules that have to be followed at work. Now, everybody knows that most people, well, I'm not going to say most people, but a lot of people break the rules that are set at work. And some rules are easy to be broken. And most rules can at least be bent. Now, that depends on how far you go with it and who is in charge of making sure that the guidelines and the rules are followed. So you may you may work in an environment where it's kind of lax, like for example, like a small business environment where there aren't a whole lot of employees and there may not be a heavy customer base, whereas you are following things in a rush and a really, really busy environment. So you may have time to do things that other people wouldn't be able to do. Now, it's not always that way in small businesses. Like, for example, when I ride the subway in the morning, sometimes when I go home in the evening, well, afternoon, whatever, instead of the attendant being at the subway stop, if they have to go to the bathroom, they'll just leave the doors open so you can go and ride the subway for free. Now, I'm sure that that's against the rules. I'm sure of it. And the local transit company is not in the business of letting people ride the train for free. But until that person comes back from the bathroom, he or she doesn't have a reliever, so they just actually put up a sign that says go through the gate. So guess what? I go through the gate, so I get the ride free. And I'm one of those people who don't have a bus pass, so it really is free for me, and that's a good thing. But I'm sure if their supervisor or their manager or somebody in the upper echelon of corporate found out that that's the way they were doing business, they wouldn't approve of that. So that's one of those things where since nobody is there to monitor them, what's acceptable is whatever they feel like they need to do in order to keep business running. And keeping the door open probably keeps them out of more trouble than it gets them into. Because if nobody is there and then people have to wait and all that kind of stuff, then questions get asked and all that. And next thing you know, you're in an unacceptable position where you could either be verbally reprimanded or be written up or possibly suspended. And of course, all of that speculation, because I don't really know. Maybe it's acceptable for them to do that and just let people ride for free. Don't sound right though, because when you short on cash, it costs $2.25 to ride the bus, any vehicle on the transit system. And if you only have $2, they'd be like, sorry, if they're not in a good mood that day. Most times they'll say, all right, well, just go ahead. But they could just tell you to go ahead even for free. So depending on how they're feeling that day, it could go down that way. So when you start talking about what's acceptable and what's unacceptable, it's a very subjective thing, because what's going to be acceptable for me in my life, or whether it's my personal life or my professional life, is going to be different than what's acceptable for you and your professional life or your personal life. Like, for example, in a relationship, everybody has a certain line that they want to be respected. They have certain things that they need to be, certain rules that need to be followed in order for people to feel confident and comfortable in a relationship. So first of all, the dynamics of the relationship need to be mapped out. You need to know exactly what's going on. Like, what are we going to be doing? Are we headed towards, engagement, marriage, or whatever? Are we just seeing each other? Are we boyfriend, girlfriend? What is it? Because once you get those boundaries set and clear, then the rules of that union need to be respected. Now, of course, in a relationship, rules get broken all the time. Rules get bent all the time. Violations abound. And there may be some things that you can put up with that really don't cross your invisible or visible line of acceptability, and maybe some things are totally out of line. So, like on the morning show this morning, on the radio show this morning, I was talking about how domestic violence is acceptable in some relationships. It's a crazy thing, but it's true. Like, it may be acceptable in a way that, okay, as long as we're fighting each other, as long as we don't get over violent with each other, maybe our volatile relationship is along the lines of acceptability, as long as you're not hitting me so hard that I feel scared or intimidated about hitting you back. So as long as we having an exchange of blows, then we all right. But when it gets to the point where you blackening my eye, busting my lip, knocking out tooth, twisting my arm, bear hugging me, trying to, knock me unconscious and all of that, I ain't with all of that. Now, as silly as that sounds, and as crazy as it sounds, I've seen it happen. And I've seen it happen multiple times. And no, not in my life, so don't start getting on some old, oh yeah, I knew he was on that woman beater shit. No, I ain't never put my hands on nobody. And I don't care what nobody tell you, even they lying. If they say that shit, I swear to God, I ain't never do that. And I swear on a stack of Bible. But no, seriously, what I mean? As unconventional as that may seem, when you start talking about unconventionality, I'm sorry, then you are talking about what's, different things that are acceptable versus non-acceptable for that union. And really, it's above judgment to other people, as long as the parties involved are okay with that seemingly unhealthy environment. Hey, I mean, what you gonna say? Because in all honesty, there is a large population of people that like to fight, then fuck. They call it makeup sex. I call it fighting and fucking because that's what it is. You know what I mean? Makeup sex is like an argument, and then you have sex. Fighting and fucking, that's when you like come to blows, and somehow that physical confrontation gets your blood boiling. I mean, gets you hot enough to actually want to have sex. It's ridiculous. But I know people who say, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, like, he don't be hitting me hard, but sometimes, that shit kind of get me in the mood, and, shit, and he never really hurt me. Like, shit is crazy. But that's how it goes when you talk about things that are acceptable versus not being acceptable. It's a personal thing. It's not about you or I. It's about, well, it is kind of about you or I. But like, it's like you and yours and me and mine and them and theirs and over there. Anyway, that's how the whole thing goes. So when when you're if you're at work or in your clubs and organizations, and get back to the work thing, because I don't know. I think I got a little sidetracked when it came back. When it comes to work, it may be acceptable for you to like employee theft happens at every job, so it might be okay for you to take some stationery, some pens, some Post-its, some what people a lot of people take things that are expensive at home, like computer ink and paper. People steal that all the time. They figure, they got loads of this stuff. They ain't paying me enough. I need to take some of this shit. You know what I'm saying? So it may, as long as you don't get too greedy. See, greed is like, it's one thing to take some supplies, but it's one thing to take enough supplies to be able to open your own store and go into business for yourself. That's when things get all shaky, crazy, rocky, and bad. So as long as you don't get into that, to all of that, everything seems to be all right. And when you cross that line, then that's when the pink slips come through. If you don't know what the pink slip is, in other words, you're getting fired. That's when you get the escort out of the building, all humiliated, charges getting pressed against you and all that, embezzlement charges on your record, all kinds of crazy stuff like that. But it goes down like that. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind, and anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours, and remember, what's acceptable for you doesn't have to be acceptable for me. What's acceptable for me doesn't have to be acceptable for you. What's acceptable for us doesn't have to be acceptable for them or whatever. But you have to decide what's acceptable for you or not, or unacceptable for you. And you also have to respect the things that are acceptable or unacceptable for other people, your jobs, clubs, organizations, people that you don't know, you know what I mean, even strangers. So as long as you stay within those rules and play well within those parameters, normally everything works out, but you never know. I know this though. The Urban Therapy with Sun show is tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're talking about life imitating art. You know how they say art imitating life? No. Now is life imitating art. So we're going to get into a whole lot about, listen, this is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about how reality TV is set up. Because I don't watch that shit, but I do know how it goes. Because I know a little something about film and TV and all of that. I'm going to put y'all on with that. And how you know that certain things are scripted versus being real. And speaking of being real, now you have a lot of people, because of social media, because of reality TV, because of the broad use of cameras now, a lot of things that we see, we believe in because of our beliefs from before, when everybody wasn't running around with a cell phone and a camera and a video video camera on their cell phone. So a lot of times we see things, we don't understand how pictures are manufactured and photoshopped and all kinds of crazy stuff. So we start acting, it has affected us in a way that we start acting like what we see, but what we have been seeing is manufactured and it's not real. So our idea of reality is really, really being misshaped, and we're doing the same thing with our children. So that's what we're talking about tonight on Urban Therapy with Sun Show, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Call in number 347-677-1533. Make sure y'all come through. blogtalkradio.com/Sun752. And don't forget about Sunset. UrbanTherapyWithSun.com. Yeah. UrbanTherapyWithSun.com. Go to the website, get down with the website. The movement is moving right, it's moving in the right direction, and we want y'all to move right with it. So get with that, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to holler at y'all later. Check out the show today. Wednesday, August 24th, 8:30 p.m. Peace.